262. So we were the immediate context is stuff with avadim. So we had, for example, not working the evidence in certain ways, not selling him in certain ways, degrading ways. And then the most recent one was 261. Not to sell a Hebrew maidservant to another person. And then now we have our new one. So not to withhold from a Hebrew maidservant who has been, what's the Yehuda thing here? It's like engaged, but like in a shifcha way, right? What's the word? Espoused. That's how they say it here. Afflicting one as a espoused Hebrew bondmaid. Hold
on, that's a mitzvah on the Baal, like on the husband or the owner of the shifcha?
I don't know. Hold on, let me just read the pasuk. Shnever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He can. I guess if he did that with it, he can do that to his son, right? But I guess then the son would be in that position. Yeah. Even though it belongs to even though she belonged. Yeah, I mean, I guess so, right? She'ira ksusa v'masal lo yigra. Right. Her provision, I think, is the best literal translation of she'ira, and her garment and her ona, then he cannot withhold. V'hu hadin l'shar hanashim. Similarly for other women. So that's weird. He phrases it as for the Alma Ivria, and then he extends it to other women.
Oh, this is the source for other women.
I guess so. Yeah, because when he quoted the pasuk, I was suspicious that that you would think that pasuk is like I was like, oh, I thought that pasuk is about all women, like a wife, not just an Alma Ivria. How does he say it?
Is that pasuk in the Alma Ivria? Yeah, I don't remember.
What was that?
Is that pasuk in context about the Alma Ivria?
Yeah. Oh, you mean in the actual pasuk? Let me look.
Yeah.
You might be right. It's in Mishpatim. Not that Mishpatim is all about Avadim, but it's like let's see, 21:10. Yeah. This is the previous psukim are V'chiyim kor ish es bitol ama lo sete k'tzes avadim imra be'inei adoneha asher lo ya'adah v'hefda la'amnachri lo yimshal l'machra b'vigaba v'im livno ya'adana k'mishpat habanos ya'asela im acheres yikach lo she'ira k'susa v'onasa lo yigra. Never noticed that before. That it's in the context of yeah. Oh, fun fact that I learned the other day. My second cousin, my first cousin was removed. My mom's first cousin, whichever one that is, found. What was that?
I think it's first cousin was removed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Found because it's like up, right? Yeah, found the documentation papers for my great grandmother my mom's father's parents came to Hawaii from China before Hawaii was like a state, and like they came to Kauai, no white people there. It was all just Hawaiians and Chinese. So like the first time they ever needed to get a passport and birth certificate and stuff like that was when they traveled back to China, which was in 1921. And so I guess my first cousin once removed found like the papers, and it had her listed. They got married. I mean, they obviously got married earlier, but like registered for marriage. Then her occupation was listed as a domestic laborer, like an imported domestic laborer. Whoa. And we had always known that like she was adopted to a family from somewhere she was from somewhere in interior China. And was adopted to a family. She looks very different, but we weren't sure if adoption meant like some situation like this of like a Ama Ivria type, like becoming part of the household, and then like part of that is like you get married off to like I don't know, but it was just interesting. I just was thinking about that from this thing of like the Ama Ivria psukim in the Mishpatim. Anyway,
interior China more like the rural area.
I think a lot of China was rural, but yeah, certainly more rural. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next, Shlo Limkor Eshes Yifas Toar. So that's the first mitzvah of Eshes Yifas Toar. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Not to sell her. Shnemar Umachar Losin Karena Bakasa. You cannot sell her for money. Okay. I feel like that's one that I didn't know that was a Lo Taaseh for a while. Then shlo lichbosh eshes sifas Torah shifcha. What does that mean? Not to conquest, subdue. The eshes sifas Torah shifcha. As a shifcha, I assume it means as a shifcha, meaning not to make her into a shifcha. Let's see here. Enslaving a captive woman, yeah. Okay. Shnemar. So that's also interesting, right? Yeah, I guess you could argue for the order going either way. Which one is the primary? Shnemar lo sis amira. Do not make her into an omer. No, what does that mean? Don't sis amer. What's lashon sis amer? Ba lo sis amer ba tachas asher inisa. I gotta figure this out. Hold on. Lo tis amer ba tachas inisa. Bind sheaves. Okay, that's not the one. Deal tyrannically. So that must be it. Yeah, that's the one it's quoting. Okay. Next. Shelo lachmod. Oh, that took a leap.
Big jump.
I guess because it says it's one of the items yeah, or Ishes Recha maybe. I don't know. Yeah, that definitely seems like a big break. Oh, you're right. Shnemar lo sachmod Ishes Recha. Yeah, still weird. Then
yeah, I mean, right. It says lo sachmod other things also, right?
Yeah, that's not the only one. Just list the last one. Next is shelo lihis avos, not to desire, and this is the not desiring in the second set of Aseret Dibros in place of the lo sachmod. Shnemar lo sis ave beis recha, don't desire the house of your friend. So I believe lo sachmod is when you, in order to violate lo taaseh, you have to act on it, and lo sis ave is when you start plotting how to get it. Let me just look in the Sefer Mitzvos. I'm going to look in the Hebrew one. I meant to say this, by the way, just in case you were wondering about this question. So my personal policy in terms of consulting. Oh, you know why this is not working? Hold on. Did I put this on upside down? Yeah, that's why it's not working. My personal policy when it comes to consulting English translations is I am much quicker to consult something which is already a translation. So let's say, for example, if I'm learning the Mishneh Torah in Hebrew, then I will stick to the Hebrew, the Mishneh Torah, which is Hebrew. I mean, I'll stick to that, like, unless I don't know a term, and then I'll look at the translation. When I'm learning the more Nevuchim or the Pirish Mishnahs or the Sefer Mitzvos or the Kuzari or the Chavos Levovos, and I'm already relying on translation, I'm much quicker to just look at the English because I figured it's already a translation that I'm using, so it's just one translation over the other. I'm going to go to the one that's my native language, obviously like the quality of translations does make a difference, but I just want to throw that out there. Like, cause I know people have all these questions like, should you use an art scroll or are you chayav kares if you do it, and I think there's like reasons for when you should or shouldn't use translations. But for me, that's just my personal policy when I'm relying on something that already is written, not in Hebrew. Yeah.
So are you chayav kares?
No. Yeah, my policy with R scroll, in case you're wondering, is if you're using it as if your goal is to develop skills and then you use it as a crutch, then that's not good. Like you're going to gain a lot more if you look up everything in the dictionaries. But if you're using it for reference, or if you are past the point where you need to develop your skills in like making a laning and Gemara, then that's up to your discretion and whatever's most efficient. Obviously you check the original language, but when you can, but yeah, okay, fine. So it says, I was looking at, what number is this? That we just did, the Lo Sisav and Lo Sachmod? Sachmod is Reish Samach Vav, right? Yeah. So he's here on me, Hasim Machashavtenu Lachmo Mashish Lachino Ulhis Avos Bo. He puts Ulhis Avos in there also. Oh, after all that talk, I didn't look at the English, whatever. Shezeh Yeh Mevo Lasos Tachbula Liknoso. Right, so not to covet what our brother has and not to desire it, lust for it, I guess would be a better translation.
Tachbula. What is that word, tachbula?
Tachbula is stratagem.
Stratagem.
Yeah, strategy. But stratagem is probably what the fancy people say.
Is that a Mishneh word?
Yeah. Navon tachbulas yikne.
Right.
Navon tachbulas, yeah. Shazeyi mavo lasos tachbula liknoso, because that would be like an opening or a gateway to strategizing how to acquire it. V'zehu lashon ashara b'zeh ha'inyan amru lo tis'ave beis ra'echa v'ein shnei lavin elu b'inyan echad. These are not two lavin on one inyan. Ella of all halav rishon v'hu lo sachmod masir liknos mashiyesh l'zulasein. Lo sachmod is actually an iser kinyan, right? So like to actually, you only are over it when you acquire it. Okay, and remember, it's even if you, let's say I covet your flaky Mishneh Torah, right? So if I pressure you to sell it and you don't want to sell it, and I pressure you into doing it and you sell it, then I'm over lo sachmod.
Maybe. Oh, I guess the action was pressure.
What was that?
What was the action that you did? I guess.
The action was, I guess, the actual
Pressure.
kinyan, right?
Or the kinyan.
I think so. Let's go on. Let's read it. Maybe he'll say v'lav sheni masir afilu his avos b'li beno levad, but lo tisave warrants even to lust after in our heart alone. V'lashem nechilta nemar kan lo sachmod ulhalan omer v'lo tisave l'chayv al taiva b'fnei atma v'al chimud b'fnei atma. Shaman minayin she'ata tisave shesofa lachmod shnemar v'lo tisave v'lo sachmod. Okay, fine. Minayin she'im chamad shesofa le'enos v'ligzol. That's interesting. How do you know that if the that if he covets, then he will come to strong arm and rob? Tamalor v'chamdu sados v'gazolu. Okay, fine. Where's that? She'im ra'ad. I'm going to skip this. I'm going to see where he addresses the Maisa. I'm pretty sure he says it in the halachos. Hold on, I just gotta, this is important. Tach mode. Okay, I'm not finding it. Nope. Yeah, there we go. Okay, Kol Chomid Avda. Oh, this is, if you want to look at the Mishneh Torah, by the way, it's Hilchos Gzeil Vaveda, Perek Aleph, Halacha Tes. Is that what you're already looking at, Isaac? You beat us to it? No.
I might not find it. You can start.
Yeah. Kol chomid avdo o amaso o beso v'kelav shachavera o davar she'afshar lo shiknehu mimenu. Okay, so anyone who covets his the slave, maidservant, house items of his friend, or anything that is possible to be koneh from him, v'hichbid alav. Bereim, interesting. So he weighs upon him heavily with friends. V'hifzerbo and pressures him ad shalakacho mimeno until he takes it from him. Alpha pish nasan lo damim rabim. Even though he gives him a lot of money, hard to over below saseh shnemar lo sachmon. So then you're over lo saseh. Ve'in lokin alav zeh mibnei she'in bo ma'aseh. Oh, there you go. So that was the paradox, right? Is that you're not over until you do a ma'aseh, but the lav is the chimud. The actual isra is the chimud. So the taking is like a shear in the chimud. Yeah, that's really interesting. The ino over belav ze ad sheyikach hachefetz shechamad shnemar kinyan shnemar lo sachmod kesef zahav aleim v'lakach alach chimud sheish b'maisa. Okay, then the next one kol hamisave beso o ishto v'keva shachavera v'chein kol kiyotze behem yishar dvarim she'efshar lo liknosu mimeno. So same thing is lo tisave is only in stuff that you can acquire. Okay. Kevin shechashav belibo heach yikne davar ze v'nifte belibo b'davar. So once you think in your heart how to acquire it, and you become seduced by your plot, right? Nifte belibo b'davar, or sorry, by the thing. So then you're over lo taseh. Shnemar lo tis'ave v'ein tave ella belev bilvad. So that one clearly you can't get malchus on.
What does that mean?
Well,
Seduced in your heart.
I assume it means, I don't know how you measure it, but I assume it means when you get like caught up in your scheme, in your plan, you know, like there's the like brainstorming phase, and then there's like the, okay, we're doing this phase, close the book, you know? Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, you know, Beis Din is not going to punish for that. So you don't need the exact shear. Yeah. Okay. Back to the list. Reish Samach Zayin. Shlo yochal hasachir shlo b'shas gmar malacha min ha-mechubar shu osebo. Shnemar v'chermesh lo sanif. So that the hired laborer should not, at the time of the completion of his malacha, eat from that which is attached to the ground that he works on. So that means like bishas gemar malacha, after he's done.
Yeah,
He could eat while he's doing it, right? But not after.
Right, that
was
was-
answer about this, right?
Yeah, we did.
I was trying to find.
Yeah. Okay.
About preventing him from eating.
Wasn't it that you have to allow him to eat? Or am I thinking of the animal? That we did yesterday.
Of the animal also.
Right, but what was the other one?
I think there was one about a person preventing him.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It quoted the pasuk nafshacha, right? Savata, something nafshacha. Hold on, let me just do a search. I think so. Ve'alcha anavim kanafshcha savecha. Ve'al kelicha lo sitain. So that was resh. No, that's what we just did. No, that's the next one. Yeah, that's the next one. Shelo yikach hasachir yasar al chilasa. That the hired worker should not eat more than. Yeah, you should not take more than what he can eat. Shneimar ve'achalta anavim kanafshcha savecha ve'al kelicha lo sitain. What's the kelicha? I always forget what that is. Another one of the Shnai Mikra blind spots. Thou shalt not put it in a vessel. Oh, like kli? Yeah, don't put it in your vessel. Keliyacha, that's interesting. I never just thought about how weird that sounds. So was it an aseh? Or am I just not finding it?
I thought it was a Lo Taaseh.
And it was a sachir?
I assume so.
So we have Pesach, no. Kohen, no. Not delaying the sachir, no. So I'm not seeing the word sachir. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe search limnoah.
Limnoah. No, we just had limnoah, the avot, and then the ama. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Next is Rish Samech Tes. Shlo yis alamin ha'aveda. Not to make yourself oblivious, right? Hide yourself from lost objects. Nemar lo sucha lihis alem. You may not hide yourself. So this is only connected in the loose sense of mamanos, right? I don't see any further connection between this and the previous one.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we see from, I guess, sorry, just jumping back a little
Yeah.
bit, where we said that, what's it called? The Lo Taaseh Geisha Serefa, like that
Yeah.
was the pasuk he brought.
Yeah.
Do we see that he quotes, like maybe he's not necessarily quoting the pasuk that, like in the best way, like
Yeah.
best way to express
I was thinking
what's-
to say the exact same thing here. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. Meaning he's only quoting it to show a source and then maybe to justify the placement in the list.
Right, which maybe would explain why some of them he doesn't bring a source, possibly.
That could be. Yeah. Because certainly in the safer, certainly in the what do you call it? In the Mishneh Torah, he has to trace it back to a pasuk to show like it's a doraisa. You know. Yeah. That's a Bible theory. Yeah, okay. Fine. So that's that. Okay. Next is Shalo Lahani Reish Ayin. Ra. Shalo Lahaniach Behema Revetas Tachas Masa'ah Baderech. So skipping along also, right? I mean, this is not in I mean it's in Mamanos, right? But it's not like property, it's not like a
Like hiding your eyes from something, I think.
Oh, okay. So shalol haniach behema bruvetas takas masa albaderach, not to leave an animal struggling under its burden on the path. Better word for crouching. What's the word I'm looking for? Buckling,
Buckle.
maybe. Yeah.
Buffalo.
Shneimar lo sirach hamor sona'acha. Do not see the donkey of your enemy.
It's
right.
More
Oh, sorry. When you see, not do not see. Yeah. Reish Ayin Aleph. Shlo la'asos avil b'mida. Not to make an perversion in measures. Shneimar lo sasu avil b'mishpat b'mida. Mipiyesh mo'lam dushal kasuv. Mazir lo tasu avil b'mishpat hamida. Don't make a perversion in the I think that's like the calibration of the mida. All right. So this is the thing I always forget. Which of these words correspond to which types of measures? Like you got to separate it for each one, right? Let's just read the list and I'll look at it in English.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Why is that in PH? Well, it sounds like that's exactly what the pasuk is.
Because you could, maybe because you could read Bamishpat. That's a good question.
The only difference I see is
Bit and ba.
Bit and hop, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
What I was going to say is that,
Context in the,
what was that?
what is the context?
Yeah, because I was gonna say maybe you might think it is a like if you are a Dion and you're doing a case involving Mida, then don't make a perversion in the judgment of the case.
Okay.
And this is telling you to not actually like make it. Let me look at the actual thing. Hold on. Wait, we didn't skip one, did we? Oh, that's weird. They translate 270 here as leaving a trapped person. Didn't we just say animal?
Mhm.
Is it just calling this guy a trapped person? Okay, that's weird. I don't know.
Unless it's like
Unless the Rambam formulates that when he said for mitzvos. Let me look at the Sefer Mitzvos for that one. Milanich hanavuch b'masao l'chutz. Yeah. Well, nazar also. U'minifrok mimeno ad sheti. Yes, yeah, fine. All right, anyway. Cheating weights measures. We are forbidden to cheat in measuring land or using false measures and weights. As Canadian his words, you should do no unrighteousness in judgment. Here's a new word, everyone. Meteyard. Meteyard. Meat yard. Yeah. In weight or in measure. Which tradition explains as meaning ye shall do no unrighteousness in measuring. Here we go. And the Sifra says in explanation of this negative commandment, ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. If this refers to giving judgment, it is redundant, for it has already been said. Why then does it say here in judgment? To teach us that he who measures is called judge. Don't know what that means.
If you want, I can
Sure.
read the parsha. So it's stupid earlier. Ezra became Yehilachem, Hagar Itachem, the Hatzal Kimucha, Girim, the Yisam, the Eretz Israel, and Yashem Lokechem. Lo Taaseh, Avel, Bamishpat, Bemida, Bemishkal, Lo Mishura. Mosne Tzedek, Aved Tzedek, Efas Tzedek, Vichin Tzedek, Yehilachem, and Yashem Lokechem, Asher Hasisi Eschem Eretz Israel. Before him as Kochi, Kusai, that's Komish Matayim.
Mm-hmm. Did that help us?
It seems to be specifically explicitly about
measures. Yeah. So I don't know what that's clarifying here. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay. Next is Shlolios. It's like Efa ve'Efa, not to have Evan ve'Evan, not to have two, Efa measures and Evan measures. Nemar lo yelecha bevescha Efa ve'Efa, meaning the duplicitous weights.
Interesting that the pasuk says Efa. He says both Efa and Evan.
Yeah, I mean I think the pasuk does say both though.
Oh.
I mean it is. Yeah, I guess he does. No, it doesn't. It says Lo yelcha bevescha Efa ve'Efa gdola uktana. Yeah, never mind. I was wrong. Yeah. I just want to look at the difference between Efa and Evan. I think one of them is like a liquid measure and one of them is a dry measure.
Also, it's interesting. Let's say you just had only one that was unjust.
Yeah.
Would you not be over the answer?
I don't know. Yeah, I see where you're getting that from the pasuk. By the way, the previous one it says it includes weight and scales. And okay, sorry. The previous one is using the prohibited weights, like doing the actual act of cheating. This is the one of owning it.
Okay.
Shelo lihios etzleino efa ve'efa. Not to, you can't even own it.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. That doesn't answer your question. I mean, actually, it might, right? Is if you just own unjust weights and measures. I mean, it doesn't answer based on the pasuk though. Shelo la'avil hamishpat, not to pervert the mishpat. Okay, is this for a judge?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because then it goes into judge stuff. Right, next one, shelo likach shofat.
It's the same pasuk.
Yeah, so maybe that's what the limud was for that we didn't know.
Actually, no, sorry, I was wrong. It's earlier in the.
Okay. Yeah, the way the Rambam says in the Sefer Mitzvos, she was harming me asas evil badin. Yeah, not to do a perversion in justice. Yeah. Okay. Next, shlo likach shochet, not to take a bribe. Shneimar v'shochet lo tikach. Don't take a bribe. 275. Shlo l'chabed gadol b'din. Not to honor someone who is great in judgment, not great in judgment. Shneimar lo sadar pnei gadol. Right. So if someone's like a prominent guy, you can't show him any favoritism, like talking to him first, preferential seating, etc. Reish Ayin Vav shlo yira hadayan badin me adam ra. So the dayan cannot be afraid of the mafioso, right? Shneimar lo saguru mipnei ish. Do not be intimidated by any person. 277 shlo larachim al ani badin. Not to have mercy on the poor in judgment. Shneimar v'dalo sehadav rivo. Do not glorify the poor person in his dispute. Yeah, that's always a striking thing, right? Is that like, it's
Right.
you got one Lo Taaseh for honoring the guy who deserves honor, and then another Lo Taaseh from having mercy where it's not, not warranted. Reish Ayin Ches shlo lahatos mishpat adam chote. Not to incline the sentence or the judgment of a person who's a sinner. I didn't know that was a thing. Shneimar lo sateh mishpat evyonacha. Oh, okay. I guess when I read that pasuk, I always assumed it was like an actual evyon. It says lamdu mi piyah shmuah is it evyon ba mitzvos. Yeah, I never knew about this. So I guess that's like making a harsher sentence, right, or a harsher judgment. Yeah. Just because that's a chote. I want to flag that one.
That is interesting.
Right, Ishan.
That's very not shot.
Yeah, evyonacha. Yeah. Yeah, even evyon b'mitzvos is weird to describe a chote.
Yeah.
Okay. Reish Ayin Tes shlo l'rachim al hamazik b'dinei knasos. Never heard of this one either. Not to have mercy on the damager in dinei knasos. Shneimar lo sachos einacha. Do not have pity with your eye.
I guess because it's not like the other guy is like owed the money because in like it's not like he deserves the money.
Mm-hmm.
A person could justify it by saying like the other guy's not losing out on anything he deserves.
That might be in terms of ayin tapas ayin.
Yeah.
I think I could be wrong.
Let's
Maybe
see.
there's
Reish Ayin Tes.
There might be similar.
Shiyisir hadayin shlo l'rachim al mishi yaharog chavero o chiser bo echad me'evarav. That okay, fine. Rosalomar b'fira on knasos. So the judge should not have mercy on anyone who killed his fellow or removed one of his limbs. Meaning to say, in the payment of knasos, shlo tomar, he shouldn't say ani zeh v'chatach yado osima eno below kavana erachim alav eselo tzedakah b'onesh. So you shouldn't say that this guy, meaning the wrongdoer, is an ani and he cut off this guy or blinded his eye by accident. So I will no, sorry, the other way around, right? Wait, ani zeh. This guy was poor and he got his eye poked out or his limb cut off. I will be mercy upon him and give him tzedakah through the ownership of the guy who did it. Right? That's how you're being merciful in the ani?
Or you're making him not have to pay.
Well, what does it mean that eselo tzedakah b'onesh, right? I mean, I assume it means like he's getting the money.
I know that he's gonna get less.
Eselo tzedakah b'onesh. Is that
Yeah,
would we use that for that?
seem like that.
Let me look.
I hear you saying.
Yeah. Okay, so it says here, this is, by this prohibition, a judge is forbidden to pity one who has slain a man or caused him a loss of a limb in fixing the penalty. He may not say, this is a poor man who cut off the other's hand or blinded his eye unintentionally, and therefore have compassion on him and be lenient in determining the amount of damage. That's what you were saying, right? Charging the poor guy wrongdoer less because he's poor. Okay, yeah, I don't think I was aware that this is one either. Next, Reish Peish Lo Lahatos Mishpat Gerim Yisomim, not to incline the judgment of Gerim and Yisomim. This was not Almana and Yasam. It was a Geri Yasam pairing.
She has other stuff.
Yeah, but does she want to have one here? No, right? Yeah. So Shneimar Lo Sateh Mishpat Geri Yasam. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Reish Pei Aleph Shlola Lishmoa Me'echad Mibale Hadinin Ve'ein Chavero Imo. Shneimar Lo Sisa Shem Ashav. So don't listen to one of the litigants when his friend, unless his friend is with him. I think we're going to have a pasuk in Mishneh about that soon.
Yeah.
I think, unless I'm getting my prakim mixed up. Shneimar lo sisa shem ashav. Don't hear a. How would you translate shem ashav? Shav is usually in vain, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe he's gonna have to repeat. Look at it when
Right. That's true. Like a causeless or like a needless report.
So usually
yeah.
there's a
But then I
process
think
in it.
then he's gonna worry about what was said.
Yeah.
Like maybe he's changing it, and also you're really influenced by the first.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's interesting, like why? That's funny that it's a Lo Taaseh. It should be like you would think it would just be like doesn't work.
Right. But I guess it is a thing that like the judge has to go out of his way to avoid. If the guy tries to pull you into the alley before you enter the courthouse and say, "Hey, yeah, let me just tell you my case," you have to like actively distance yourself. Meaning, it's more than just that it's not admissible; it's that it's bad for the din. Shalol lintos achrei rabim b'dinei nefashos im hayu hamachayvim yaser al hamazakin echad. Not to incline after the majority in dinei nefashos if the libelers, if the people who vote lechova are only a majority of one. Shnemar lo sihi achrei rabim l'raos. You shouldn't go after the majority for harm or for bad. Meaning you need a majority of 2 in dinei nefashos, right? I think that's the thing. One should not make an argument for conviction or for liability. Sorry, the person who was Melamed Zechus first should not then be subsequently Melamed Chova, right? Shnemar v'lo saneh al riv lintos. You shall not answer upon a dispute to deviate. Meaning, once you are Melamed Zechus, you can't be among the Melamed Chova people.
But what if you change your mind?
Too bad, right? No, this is one of the measures of like being Merachim, right? Which is why like we reverse it by the Mesis.
Yeah.
Meaning that with the Mesis we have the opposite rule, which is that once you're Melamed Chova, then even if you see as a Chus, you can't share it. Yeah, it's a legitimate question, but that's the idea behind it. We can flag it. You want to flag it? Okay.
I think there's a question of whether it's also for the voting.
Yeah.
Like whether you also can't vote if you were first Melamed to this.
Like, does that mean in your mind or like?
No. I think expressing it. Yeah. Okay. It's interesting. I never thought of the term Melamed Zechus in a literal sense of like when we use Melamed Zechus.
Right.
Okay, I guess we usually say Don Lakav Zechus. Right. Yeah. So it doesn't say you can't be Don Lakav Zechus on the guy. You just can't be Melamed Zechus. Okay. Reish Pei Dalet Shlo Lamanos Badayanim Adam Sheino Chacham B'dinei Torah. Alpha Pishu Chacham B'Chachamos Acheros. Shnemar Lo Sakiru Panim B'Mishpat. That's a really interesting halacha. You cannot appoint a judge who is not a Chacham Dinei Torah, even though he's a Chacham in other areas. Yeah. Interesting.
Wait, what's the classic?
Yeah, don't show favoritism. What's a better word than showing favoritism? Recognizing faces. It doesn't mean recognizing faces. Don't respect persons in judgment is what they say here. Yeah. Yeah, I guess this is a thing that was like much more common also in the ancient world of like just you appoint prominent people to positions of being judges.
Wow.
Not based on their knowledge of the law.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was really crazy. What was that?
Bushah moment for me.
Yeah. I just read about this happening in Alaska. I'm reading a book called Alaska about the history of Alaska. It's a fiction book, but it's based on nonfiction. And Alaska was like kept in a legal state of lawlessness for a very long time. Like they were territory, but they were not allowed to have judges. And then I don't know if this is part of the fiction or the nonfiction, but in the book, then one of the first judge they appointed was just some guy who looked really good. Like people looked at him as like a judgely person, had no knowledge of like the laws and no interest in actually exercising judgment. And then like he just became, he was the only official judge, and he became the puppet of this other guy. So like the whole thing just became even worse than it was before.
Wow.
Yeah. Wait, where are we at now? We're at Rish Pehe, right? Shlo laha'id b'sheker. Shnemar lo sa'aneh brecha et sheker. not to you should not testify falsely, as it says, you should not testify falsely against your fellow falsely. Yeah, see, okay, this is a problem with my mnemonic device system. Like when I get something lodged in my head with numbers, then so like my Reish Pei He is the siman in the Shulchan Aruch for Shnai Mikra, and I know that from remembering it, but also because I looked it up recently, and so like I think I have to like cluster things that have to, because my Shnai Mikra thing is like you whisper it to yourself. So it's like with the Rafa, with the Safa Rafa, with like a quiet lip. So I have to like come up with a new one, L'Hayid B'Sheker, like just whisper it, don't testify it. Yeah.
It's because you're whispering evil in the judge's ear.
Yeah. Okay. Reish Pei Vav. Shelo Ya'id Bal Avera. So that's just, I guess, disqualification for a lot of particulars, right? That a Bal Avera should not testify. Shenemar Al Tashes Yadcha Im Rasha Lios Eid Hamas. Do not Tashes Yadcha Im Rasha is like join your hand with the Rasha. Do not put thy hand with the wicked in to be an unrighteous witness. They translate as unrighteous. Eid Hamas. Shelo Reish Pei's.
What does that mean? You've done an Avera?
Yeah, like there's a bunch of disclassifications for or disqualifications for
those specific Averas.
yeah. Let me just see what they are really quickly. I don't think it's a long list, right?
Yeah, not like the person who's done any of it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Goodbye court system. Wait, Reish Pei Vav. Harushaim Psulim Eidos Min Torah. Shneimar Al Tashes Yadcha Im Rasha Lios Eid Hamas. It is interesting. Russia is definitely like a different description than what did he say before? Balavera, yeah.
Then you have like bushah for like some of his life and like
right.
more babies.
Does it say here what the list is? Ezehu Rasha shall kosha avar avera shachayavin alaha malkus zehu Rasha upasol. Wow, that bar is lower than I thought. If you did anything that's chayav malkus.
Anything? Wow. Anytime you got malkus or anytime you did something that was chayav.
Avar avera shachayavin alaha malkus zehu Rasha upasol.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
Yeah, that's gonna disqualify a lot of people.
Like, do there have to be?
And not only that, im haya hachiv shaba midivrehem, harizeh pasal midivrehem.
Well,
Ketab alcha basar behema b'chalav, o shalcha nevelos ushkatzim v'kiyotah behen bein l'teyavam bein l'hachis, o shachil es yom tov harishon, o shalav shatnes, o shushua o tavoy o nuz. Why does he have to define shatnes here? Harizeh pasal le'edus mina Torah. Oh, because it's those specific forms of shatnes. Harizeh pasal le'edus mina Torah. Im achal basar of b'chalav o shachil yom tov sheni shal galios o shalav beged semer shavad b'chut shal pishtan v'kiyotah bo harizeh pasal midivrehem.
wow.
So it does extend more, but just mean Rabbanan. For Minin call Avera Shechayvan La Malkus, and then he has the list. Yeah, that's a lot of Averas and a lot of people.
Is it like a court? Like, do you have to be like?
You mean what kind of based in?
Like, are there like 8? Do there have to be 8 in that you got? I mean, I guess
That you did the Avera?
Right. Yeah, I guess.
8 him all the way down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they determine it. Yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, wow. Okay. The Eidos pool got a lot smaller. Because I always, fine. I guess when I always have a go-to thing of like, if I'm trying to give a hypothetical for why Dina Mamanos are hard, or Dina Nefashos are hard to like pull off, I always use the Karov as the example of like, what if you and your brother witness something, but like, this is like much more common than that, I think,
Yeah.
This is never,
Yeah. I wonder if let's say that you then get the malchus.
Yeah.
Or you now know about Avera.
That's a good question, right? Because it's Mechaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Postum Kipper can
Reish Pei Zayin Shlo Ya'id Karov, that a relative should not testify. Shnemar Lo Yumsu Avos Al Banim. Fathers should not be put to death over their sons. Yumsu Avos Avos Beidus Banim V'hu Hadin L'Shar Krov. So that's when you're when a car was on trial.
Is that pasuk is like with like the avos, the kids shouldn't die on the hands of their father and the father shouldn't die.
Yeah. Is that in a court context?
Yeah.
Is it?
This? Yeah, I think so.
No. The context in the psukim. Lo
Well,
yimsu
no,
avos alman.
Isn't the Gemara? Does the Gemara take it as like that whole question of like, oh, how could the kids die for their father's sin? Like it has that whole contract. Like,
Oh, yeah?
like, if like
It brings it from here?
kids-
Yeah, that makes sense, right? I mean, the contradiction to like poked avon avos
Yeah,
albanim. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, this is not clearly in a particular context. This is in a list of a lot of different mitzvos here. Okay, fine.
It's his own bushah. Lo yimsu avos albanim, lo yimsu al avos. The chet again, you must.
Okay, next, Reish Beches, shlo lichros hadin al pi eid echad, not to seal the judgment on the basis of one witness. That's a weird expression, also, lichros hadin, right?
Also, I mean, it's also weird that it's another
Because
one.
it
that's
has-
really just-
You think?
Meaning, because
It's not
this should just be it doesn't work, yeah.
It actually is functional in basement. It's not much.
And in other areas, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Like Neman B'Yisurim,
It's not a decisive thing.
right. But what Zev is saying is that like in the areas where it doesn't work, it should just be like it doesn't work.
Right.
You shouldn't have to make an Lo Taaseh to not do it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the same thing as like what we were saying with the assays about like Nida and stuff. That,
Yeah.
Like, to produce like
Meaning in
Yeah,
order
it's-
to set up
the system. No, it's weird.
meaning in order to set up the standards of edus, then you have to have this. Like this is what makes the edus not work.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be. Yeah, you would think you would just have something like dine edus, as like a thing.
Right.
Shneimar lo yakum ed echad b'ish. One witness should not arise for a person. Reish Betes shlo laharog naki, not to kill an innocent person. Shneimar lo sirtzach, do not murder. That's interesting. Is this the isser of Ritzicha? Reish Betes?
I guess so.
Because it's not like shlo laharog naki in davka in a court scenario. Let me just look it up and see if he quotes this one in the in Hilchos Ritzicha Shmiras Nefesh. Yeah, I mean, it's not that it doesn't make sense. It's just that it's shocking. I just never. I don't think of the Isser Ritzicha as being expressed in those terms. Yeah, so let's see. Shalom Lirtzach is Reish Betes. Yep. Okay, there you go. Reish Sadi Shalom Lachtoch Hadin Omid Hadas. Not to see now. Here's Lachtoch Hadin. Different cutting synonym. Through a estimation, right? Omid Hadas, just like based on weighing of the mind. Achi Yiru Shnei Edim Gufo Shaladavar, until two. So that's to do it without Edim.
Yeah.
I feel like you should be guilty.
Yeah. Even I think it's even if you're like certain, like
Yeah.
it's framing it as this is your conclusion.
Right.
Like there's no one in the room
Yeah.
except for this guy. Then someone walks out holding a bloody knife,
Mhm.
and the guy's dead.
Right. Shneimar v'naki v'tzadik al taharog. That's an interesting pasuk as a source for for this. It doesn't really make reference to the actual Isser or the actual Maisa. I mean,
It's interesting that we just went back to specifically judge case things.
Yeah.
Because we just talked about killing in general.
right. Yeah. I mean, I guess the fact that it's phrased as laharog naki,
Mhm.
like those are like dinim terms, right?
Right.
I mean that's not enough to classify. Like I agree, it should be elsewhere. But okay, shelo yore ha'ed bedin shehed bo bedin in nefashos. That he can't. Is this yore as in like more hara'ah? That he can't be more hara on the din, which he himself is a witness for in din nefashos. One witness should not answer regarding a nefesh. Let me look at the Sefer Mitzvos here. A witness acting as an advocate, yeah. But with this prohibition, a witness is forbidden to act as an advocate in a case in which he gives evidence. Even though he be learned and well-informed, he may not act as witness, judge, and advocate, but must testify concerning that which he has seen and be silent while the judges make use of his testimony as they deem fit. Yeah. He can't be the judge and the witness.
Only in Minyan process?
Looks like it, right? Yeah. Right, because in Dine Mamanos, then like if I make a deal with you, Well, I guess we're not. Yeah, because it's a different case. Yeah, I don't know. Next, shlo laharog mechuyav hariga kodem shiamod bedin. What? So is that like a case you're talking about, Isaac? Also, like where you watch the guy murder someone, that you still can't execute him unless he stands in judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shneimar v'lo yamus harotzeach ad amdo lifnei ha'ida. So meaning that it's a good pasuk, right? Is that the rotzeach, the vadai rotzeach, may not be killed until he stands in judgment before the assembly. Reish tzadi gimel shlo lachus al harodef, not to have compassion on the rodef. Ella horgin oso kodem shiagil lanirdaf v'yahargenu o yigale ervaso. What? Oh no, okay. Meaning that's the guy the person who's being chased after to be killed or to have to be like gilu ervad. Yeah.
So you can kill him.
Yeah, you can kill him. Or you can't have compassion on him. Right. Shnemar v'katosas kapa. You shall cut off her hand. Lo sachos einacha, not have mercy. Because that's the halacha, is that you have to, if you can, kneecap him, then you got to do that. And then if the only way to stop him is kill him, then you can kill him. Okay, next, shlo la'anosh ha'anus, not to punish the one who is raped. Shnemar ulana'ara lo taaseh davar. To the maiden, you should not do anything. I didn't realize. I knew that we didn't punish the one who was raped. I didn't know there was a Lo Taaseh.
Yeah, absolutely.
That really is very progressive in terms of societies still don't have that, right? In the is it the Arab world in certain Muslim things that they put the woman to death if she gets raped?
Really?
Yeah, I forgot it's there in certain parts in India.
Right.
Yeah. Reish tzadi hey shlo likach kofer min harotzeach. You cannot take a ransom from the rotzeach. Shnemar v'lo sikachu kofer lenefesh rotzeach. Don't take a ransom for the soul of the rotzeach.
This is how the Gemara learns out that Ein Tamtzayin is not literal.
Oh, interesting.
Partially from here. Yes.
I thought you were going to quote the Mishneh. That this came up in Mishneh recently, right? The
Oh yeah.
Tzedakah tatil mimaves and lo yo'ilu otros resha.
Right.
That he can't like buy his way out.
Right.
Reish tzadi vav shelo likach kofer begalus rotzeach bishkaga. So in a case where he did like manslaughter and he's chayav galus, you can't take a ransom from him either. Shnemar lo sikahu kofer lanus el ir miklato. Don't take a ransom for him fleeing to the city of his refuge. Reish tzadi zayin shlo la'amod al hadam, not to stand over the blood. Shnemar lo sama al dam re'acha. Don't stand over the blood of your fellow. Yeah. So I always forget what's included in this Lo Taaseh. I know one is like if you see someone being like killed and you or in danger of dying, you could save them, then you should, then you're chayav. But aren't there other things included here? Or am I thinking of Lo Sochlo Adam? Maybe I'm thinking of Lo Sochlo Adam. Yeah. I just want to see if there's one more thing in this one, or if it's just that. So the way he says it in the Sefer Mitzvos is to be lax. We're prohibited from being lax in saving the soul of a person when we see him in the danger of death or loss, and we have the ability to save him, like if he's drowning in a river and we know that how to swim and we can save him, or if thieves are striving to kill him and we are able to thwart their plans or to prevent harm. Okay, fine. That's what this tells us. Okay. Oh yeah, that's the other one I was thinking of. So if you see, if you have testimony, if you conceal testimony, you're also included in this, even if it's not like his life being in danger. Yeah, that was the other one. Okay, next, shelo lehaniach michshol, not to set a stumbling block. Shnemar lo sasim dami b'veisecha. Do not place blood in your house. So is this makeh? Is this lo saseh makeh? I think so. This is not like this is not lifnei iver lo tidim michshol. Yeah, this is. Yeah. Chol haminiach gago below makeh bitel mitzvos seif avar lo taseh shnemar lo sasim dami b'veisecha. Vein lo kana lav zeh mimishim b'maiseh. So this is the law to not have a makeh. Next is shlo l'hakshil tam derech. Yeah. So not to cause an innocent person to stumble on the path. Don't place a stumbling block in front of the blind. That's giving someone bad advice or misleading them into a harmful way. Shin. Malkus.
Wait,
Not.
hold on.
No,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The previous one is that literally the deraisa only with a person walking or something like a
no.
physical
The
one?
derisa is only when you give bad advice.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think I was discussing this last time I taught it. That I was theorizing. I think if you put a literal stumbling block in front of the blind, I don't think you're over this isser.
Wait, didn't he say bader?
Yeah.
Lahak shel tam bader.
Yeah.
So isn't that
That's not a literal derech, I don't think.
okay?
I mean, let me read the Sefer Mitzvos.
Right, it's tam.
Yeah. It's a mental derech, right? Is that what they say? So it says, yeah, he's here. Mihachshil ktsaseno es ktsaseno. Hush im yishalcha adam etza b'davar niftebo. If your friend asks you something, advice for something that he's like seduced in, he's a pessian. Uva hazhar milaramoso umachshilo. This provision comes to prevent us from deceiving him or making him stumble. Rather, we should set him straight on the matter of Shutov Yashar, which he thinks is good. Yeah. So it's Davka with the advice. Yeah. Next is Shalol Hosif Malchus, not to increase the whiplashes of the someone who's chayiv in whiplashes. Shnemar Yosif Pen Yosif.
What does it just say pen Yosef?
Wait, hold on. Is that's not the literal quote, is it? Oh yeah, it is. But the punctuation in the pasuk is different. Arba'im yakina lo Yosif pen Yosif lahako so al elemacha rabba v'dikla achicha beinecha. Yeah.
It's the pen Yosef that tells you that, because as he said in Rishon Ben Aleph, because that's the most reasonable place for that. And anytime it's pen, that's just.
Oh yes, you're right.
Yeah.
We did learn that Klal Gadol yesterday.
Wait, but it does say Lo Yosef. So why doesn't that work?
Well, that's really what it is. You were just making a joke, right?
Yeah, because exactly. Kumakum shidamar hishamer o pen o all. Ella Mitzvos doesn't say.
Yeah, that was one of the ones we read. That was just like random, like you put that there.
Of course.
Shin Aleph Shlo L'Ragel. That's not to speak lashon hara. Shnemar Lo Selech Rachel B'Mecha. Don't go as a gossip monger among your people. So L'Ragel, I guess, is more specifically don't do rechilus.
To tell there.
To gossip mong. Don't mong any gossips. Shin Beis Shlo Lisno Balev, not to hate in the heart. Shnemar Lo Sisna Es Chachicha B'Vavecha. Do not hate your fellow in your heart. We talked about that maybe in the Rabag thing, that it's if you hold in hatred, right? Not just feeling the hatred. Shin Gimel Shlo Lahavin Pnei Adam Yisrael, not to embarrass any Jew's face. See, this is an interesting one that he quotes the hochech tochiach part, because that's really part of the Mitzvos Tacse of tochacha, and yeah, it ties it to lo tisa alav chet. But I guess that's how you get the context that I was talking about embarrassment. If you just said lo tisa alav chet, that would not be referencing the act. Really, it's like if you must rebuke him in a way that doesn't cause you to bear sin. It's like implicit in that is it still is a very like indirect way of learning out the Yisr. Shin Dalid Shlo Linkom, not to take revenge. Shnemar Lo Sikom says don't take revenge. Shlo Lintor, not to bear a grudge. Shnemar says Lo Sitor. Shlo Likach Emal Banim. Okay, that seems to be a break. Yeah. I actually. Well, it's interesting. You could connect it that way. That there's a warped idea. Nah. I was gonna say like. Is the idea of achzarius tied to revenge? Yeah. I mean, the Rambam says that explicitly, right? Of not taking revenge. When someone sins against you, you should not be an achzar and refuse to be mochal. You should be mochal them with a whole heart. And shalom likachem albanim is to teach you rachamim. So it is an association, in terms of the Mida at least.
It's still okay.
Yeah. Shnemar.
It's the not taking the mother. It's
the shluch.
Well, it's the Lo Taaseh part. That if you did take the mother or the eggs, then you'd be over the Lo Taaseh. Shnemar lo sikach ha'im albanim. Do not take the mother over the eggs. Shlo l'glech se'ar hanesek. Wow, that is not connected. Not to shave the hair of the nesek. Shnemar es hanesek lo yigaleach. Don't shave The nesek. Anyone know what kind of the tsaras nesek is?
Yes, it's when you have hair that turns gold. And it has like a gold test.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Let's see if they translate it here in a fancy way. Not
The leprous hair spot.
shaving. Ready for it? The skull. SCALL. Skull. I must look that up. What is a skull?
I mean,
Skull is
Mine.
archaic.
Oh, okay, good.
A scurf.
Whoa.
Is that like a
Scared.
hipster smurf? A scurf or a scabby disorder as of the scalp. I gotta look up scurf now. Scurf. That's a great insult term. Flakes on the surface of the skin that form as fresh skin develops below, occurring especially as dandruff. A
Wow.
flaky deposit on a surface, especially one on a plant resulting from a fungal infection, is the second definition. Wow, you scurf. And on that note, let's end for today because I gotta make it home before 3 to tutor.
Amazing.
All right, see you guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll finish tomorrow.